Welcome to our first video on instruction. Today I'm going to cover the OLL mod guide for Module 4, and I'll give you kind of an overview of what you can expect when you're looking at the mod guides. So these guides are going to be about instruction that you might necessarily get from reading the text, but I want you to understand that you should be going through all of the text, all of the what to expects, and then these mod guides reinforce topics that are important, and I can clarify things that maybe are lacking, or I can talk through how to use StatCrunch at that certain time. So I don't want you to think that the mod guide is something that you can use in lieu of the text. You're supposed to use the text, and then this is your ancillary, it's your resource in addition to that. And as you can see on this mod guide from the first page, I have listed the definitions out. So I'm not going to walk through where to find the definitions and things like that. I would expect you to be able to find that in the guide. I will write what the definitions are that I have so that you can see them, but I want to focus more on the content of how to answer questions, how to perform the calculations, and what you can expect. So we've got some definitions for number 1, and then why do we usually need to collect data from a sample and not the whole population? So this is something I do want to talk about. Thinking about right now, we're in a time of a census. You're probably getting things in the mail asking you to complete a census. A census is where you're gathering information about the entire population. I've noticed that I think I've gotten or received 5 letters in the mail for the census. You'll notice that you get all of this information because it's very hard to collect information from everyone. You get people who don't want to fill things out. You get people who you can't reach. And so getting information from the population it's really hard. So why do we collect from a sample? Well, it usually isn't possible to study the whole population. So I would say it usually isn't possible to study a whole population. Now we're going to talk about the learn by doing portion of the text. The nice thing about the online text is that it's interactive and you can kind of click through yourself and test it as well. Did I get this? Learn by doing, those types of things. On this number 3 right here, you'll see that it says your response to this question is part of a discussion board post. So you'll notice that I'm not going to answer this right now, but this is a place where I wanted you to record your thoughts on a type of question you might want to ask. And remember to think about the 3 things that we have up top about the 3 characteristics of a well-worded research question. So I want you to use those 3 ideas in your research question, and then you're going to post it on the discussion board where we asked for it. Now in number 4, did I get this? You'd find this in the text page number 13. You're asked to identify the characteristics of the research question. Do the majority of dentists recommend the use of mouthwash? So what's the population, what's the variable, and what's the numerical value? Again, these are the 3 characteristics that you want to include in a well-worded research question. The population that we're going to be talking about is dentists. And what is the variable that we're measuring? What do they care about? They want to know, do they recommend mouthwash? So the variable is a mouthwash recommendation. Yes or no is how we measure that. So we would say mouthwash recommendation. And then off to the side, I went ahead and said yes, no, because that kind of guides me in telling me in terms of what type of variable we're dealing with. The numerical value that's describing the population would be the percent that said they did recommend the mouthwash. So we can say it's either the percent or proportion. You'll hear proportion a lot this semester of dentists that recommend, I'm going to actually just say percent or proportion recommending mouthwash. Oops. Throughout the semester, you'll notice I tend to write. If I'm not really thinking about it, I'll write fast and my handwriting can get a little bit sloppy. And so you'll see in videos, I might erase a little bit just to rewrite something so you can be sure that you notice that an O is an O versus like right in here. So just things that you'll pick up on the video, something little different things that I do. So anyway, that's the first part of page 1. So we're going to move on to page 2. You're wondering maybe whether the speed of a car causes your gasoline mileage to go down or up. So I've got speed and I've got my gasoline usage. I have speed and my usage. That's two variables that go together. So when we're talking about variables with cause and effect, you're wondering if one causes another. That's two. Now, what does a researcher need to do in order to provide convincing evidence of a cause and effect? Cause and effect is going to be something we talk a good bit about, but the only true way that we can determine cause and effect is by designing an experiment. I need to impose treatments in order to be able to determine whether there's cause and effect. And so you'll hear that terminology throughout the semester. But imposing a treatment means you're introducing a treatment into the environment where you're actually giving something to someone, like you're assigning somebody to a certain exercise regimen, or you're assigning a pill to somebody, or you're introducing some sort of element in a controlled environment. A few examples of words that must be used when examining the relationship between variables when we do not want to imply a cause and effect relationship. We could not say this causes that, so instead we would want to say associated. The two things are associated, or they're correlated. There's a correlation. They're linked, or possibly connected. Those are some words that describe relationships but don't necessarily say one thing causes another.